Welcome to another episode of the Marvin Nemitz Podcast. I'm Marvin Nemitz. Glad you could join me today. Well, I want to talk about something. Had an interesting conversation with my daughter, actually, the other day. Today I want to talk about the loss of innocence. The loss of innocence. Remember an Eagles song called The End of the Innocence. It was written a couple decades ago, and in it, the songwriter is singing about how he experienced divorce between his mom and dad as he was growing up. And of course, we know the chorus, "This is the end of the innocence." Our society today has lost a lot of their innocence. I think about how people really are longing nostalgically for days gone past. Specifically, I think about, they don't necessarily think about the 60s and the 70s where we really began to see the end of innocence in our society. Not that people were naive or didn't know things, but I think that there were things that weren't quite as prevalent because of technology. You go back to the 40s, 50s. Of course, innocence was lost during World War II. People experienced a lot of pain, but the 50s seemed like a much simpler time. I wasn't born until 1969, so I don't have an affinity for the 50s. But I do think that there were times past where people were a little more innocent. So my daughter was, asking about the Epstein files. Is it really necessary that all of us know what's going on there? Do we need to know the perversion, the wickedness, the blackmail that's possible? And I don't know that we'll all ever know all the truth about that. So this podcast isn't really to bring up the Epstein files. I think that they become kind of an indicator, like a warning light on the dashboard of society. Boy, are we becoming aware of things that really do we need to know. With the advent of technology, all the things that we're exposed to, it's great to have knowledge at your fingertips. I mean, you can just about discover anything you want from your phone right there at your hands. It's remarkable. Absolutely, I love it. I love that you can look things up like an encyclopedia, that you can research things instantly, that if you're a halfway thinking human being, you can figure out what is true and what is not true. I love that. I love to be able to learn. I love to be able to grow. But I also think the difficulty with our technology is that people are being exposed to things they should have never been exposed to in the first place. As we were talking in our conversation, I began to take a few notes we had written back in our text back and forth. Back when Adam and Eve were created, God put in the middle of the garden the knowledge of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They were not to eat from it. There were certain things that God didn't want Adam and Eve to know, didn't want them exposed to. They didn't need to. We talk about a need-to-know basis, not a want-to-know basis. I think the American curiosity, I think our curiosity is remarkable. We want to know things. If we even get a glimpse of something we're not familiar with, we begin to search it out. The question is, do we really need to know those things? There were things that God wanted to protect Adam and Eve from, and that was the knowledge of good and evil. All they knew were good. All that Adam and Eve knew was what was pure. All Adam and Eve knew was what was righteous. All they knew was kindness. They didn't even know wickedness. As a matter of fact, in all of their innocence, they walked around completely naked and they had no idea that they were naked. The first thing that happened when they ate from that tree was that they discovered they were naked. They didn't even know that. Remember when they met with God? Adam said, well, I hid from you because I was naked. And God said, who told you you were naked? Who told you that? Did you eat from the tree that I forbade you to eat from? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Good and evil are not subjective. They are truth. There are delineated lines. And when you walk in innocence, things like being naked are not evil. They are innocent. There's nothing that rises to the mind that makes you think that there's something wrong with this. Isn't it interesting? The moment they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was the end of their innocence. I think that what we're watching in the world is that we're being flooded with such an array, such a depth of wickedness. We're being exposed to things. The world is filling our hearts with the knowledge of evil that we don't need to know. But man's curiosity wants to know everything. There are things that man has no need to experience, no need to see. I think about the things that we're calling entertainment in our day and age, people being exposed, and this started not innocently enough. I mean, remember when TV first came, husbands and wives didn't even sleep in the same bed. They were never portrayed that way. They had separate beds, and now, boy, do we see all kinds of filth happening. Articles being written about affairs, movies about affairs, about all kinds of different types of relationships that were never meant to be understood by even the most respectable of people. The Bible talks about sin that shouldn't even be uttered in secret. Now, not only are things not kept behind closed doors, they are out there for everyone to see, from homosexuality to affairs to horror movies. The vitriol and anger that we were never meant to see, even in the news cycle. People are exposed to murder, to people being killed right before our eyes. We've been so conditioned in our so-called entertainment of seeing blood and then the forensic evidence and then the way that people go about finding and discovering those that are committing crimes, things that most people were never ever meant to know. And we wonder why we live in a society that's anxious, that doesn't sleep well, that's traumatized. We become aware of abuses, things that go on behind the scenes in nations. Being exposed to these type of experiences, whether it be on the news cycle, whether it be in our television and movies, or even in the music, has been traumatizing. It's hurtful. We're being exposed to a magnitude of evil that we were never meant to know. Sin, so degrading, so filthy, so remarkably repulsive that it's becoming normal in our society to have knowledge of these things. You know, in Noah's day, it said that men's hearts were continually on evil. And this was one of the reasons for the flood, one of the many reasons. Genesis 6:5 said, "The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the heart were on evil all the time." You know, my kids and family, they're on Instagram all the time, and it was interesting. I said, I don't even understand. I'll go on to see, they'll say, oh, I left you a message. Did you go see it? And I hadn't, so I'll go check. Oh, and they may have sent a reel or something that was there that was actually funny. But it's interesting, in my feed, because I'm not there much, comes all kinds of weird things that I don't want to be exposed to, don't need to be exposed to. Yet there it is in living color right before my eyes. The temptations, the sinfulness, issues that I would never think of, things that I would never intentionally allow to come across my purview. Yet there it is. The things that we are seeing. Again, the portrayal of the hurt of divorce, the portrayal of murder, horror movies, and the scary things that come across the screen, witchcraft, that is being passed off as entertainment, philosophies that go against the Word of God. It's damaging. It's remarkable what it's doing to society. My daughter asked me, do you think that we even need to pursue some of these things? I thought about that for a minute, and I thought, well, we need to pursue certain things to protect the innocent, and we need to pursue certain things to protect the innocence of a society, the innocence of our children, the innocence of our family. I don't think parents should be naive about social media or what their kids are doing or what they're seeing. Unfortunately, when you find out the things that children in your family could be being exposed to, you become exposed to it yourself. We need to help those that are hurt by evil. For instance, I believe that if what is being said about the Epstein files, and that there have been girls that were trafficked, girls that were being used to satisfy, boys or girls, children that were being used to satisfy the needs of powerful people, I believe that those need to be pursued and those people held to account, and those people that were victimized need help. It's not a savory thing. It's not a pleasant thing. But there are some things that we need to pursue that mean that certain people will be exposed to in the process of protecting people from evil. I love what Dietrich Bonhoeffer said. He said, to do nothing is to allow evil to win. So I think that it's important that in our society we are doing certain things and are knowledgeable of certain things so that evil stops. But boy, are we at a crossroads in our society where ordinary people are having to become aware of extraordinary wickedness so that we can stop the damage that it's doing in our homes, to our children, to our grandchildren, and to our communities, to our society. It's remarkable. There are things that I've had to learn about that I never wanted to learn. Terms like polyamory, never wanted to know that. Transgender, things that you would have never thought of, but a wickedness that is so vile that a person would absolutely be so dissatisfied with what God made them to be that they would mutilate their body to become something different. There's become a loss of innocence in our society that I think is so deep that it actually should be mourned. It should be grieved. I do. You see, I think we need to get back to that time where we value innocence. Not where we make fun of naivety. I don't believe in being naive. I believe that we should be wise. I believe that we should know things, but I also think we need to know how far we need to know about things. Too often in our curiosity, we search out things, and then those sinful things begin to harden our heart towards God and people, and even can harden our heart in compromise to what is right and what is wrong. It's interesting, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, all they knew was what was right. All they knew was what was good and pure and beautiful and holy. Now people say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And they can look at some really warped things and think that those things are beautiful. They say things like love is love. Love cares about the better of a person. Love cares about what truly is beautiful, what truly is good, what truly is kind, what truly is innocent. I love watching my grandchildren. There is such a purity about them, things they don't know. I'm thankful for a daughter that refuses to expose them to things. It's very careful about what kind of content comes into the home. And by the very extension of that, the content that comes into the minds of the children. I'm thankful for all of my kids that are doing that with their children. Not just the daughter I was talking to, but my daughter-in-law, my son-in-law. Boy, do we need to keep innocent. God actually instructed that we are to be innocent of what is evil. Innocent of what's evil. Do you know that it's okay to not know about certain things? The world calls it naive and reckless and will make fun of it. But I sure am glad that there are wicked things out there that I don't know about, and I don't want to. I don't want to seek them out. I don't want people to show them to me. I don't want to be exposed to it. It's harmful. There are certain things that you know and you are never the same again. Adam and Eve discovered they were naked. Not only did it change the dynamic of the relationship with God, it changed the dynamic of the relationship with each other. It changed the dynamic of men and women forever. Instead of being able to look at his wife and just see the beauty of a body, because of that loss of innocence, lust entered into the world. All of us will experience it. To watch children be exposed to harmful thoughts, whether it's witchcraft or sexual things. And every parent will understand that there's a point when you could see your children's innocence being taken advantage of. One of the things that I have found is that the problem with pursuing things to protect the innocent means that those who help stem the fray of evil are also hurt in the process. I think of certain professions where people are exposed to things that most normal folks never will be. This is what's harmful about much of the entertainment we have. For instance, police officers begin to see the worst of the worst in people, from domestic encounters to murders. They see things that people do to one another, whether it's a crime like stealing money and the hurt that it causes a family by the loss of those funds because someone selfish stole their future from them, and now those people are in desperate straits. Whether it is a police officer that has walked up on a body that has been stabbed, whether it's a first responder like a fireman or a paramedic that is there to heal, whether it's a social worker that has helped counsel people through abuse and trauma, whether it's a soldier that has stopped the pillaging of a society, and they go to war and they've seen their friends killed, or they've actually had to take the life of another human being. Even pastors have to see things that no one should ever have to. A knowledge of good and evil that you don't want to see. Husbands and wives in a counseling session that are so selfish, they fight and belittle each other in the house of God instead of humbling themselves before one another. The devastation of an affair. In my life, I've had the privilege of being on the phone with a man that was contemplating suicide, and in the process was playing Russian roulette with a gun. I could hear the click while I was trying to counsel him out of taking his life. I hung up the phone to call the police. I found out where he was. The Holy Spirit revealed it. But when they came, while we were off the phone, he took his life. I've been in the house with a family after someone shot themselves in the head, and I've seen things on the wall, body parts that we were never meant to see because they were meant to be kept inside. You don't look at those things and stay the same. There's a loss of innocence. I've sat with soldiers that have had to take the life of someone in battle that was coming after them in hand-to-hand combat. What they did was righteous. What they did was correct. But there was an innocence that was lost that they were never, ever able to regain, and it left a mark on their life. I think it's important that we understand again in our society that we have a real appreciation for the people who are willing to go into the fray and stem the tide of wickedness. Mom and Dad, you stand in the fray to protect your children from the wickedness and the evil that the enemy wants to expose your children to. There is nothing innocent about wickedness. The Bible says that we are to be innocent of evil and knowledgeable about what is good. And boy, do we need to do a better job of teaching people the difference between right and wrong, good and evil. Innocence is a good thing. There's a purity about it. There's a beauty about it. There's a joy about it. Listen, there are things that people are being exposed to on a daily basis that only used to be that only first responders and police officers and soldiers and social workers and preachers, things that those that were meant to be there to help protect the innocent. But now people are being exposed to those things on a daily basis, on their phone, on the television, in the movie. And can I just implore you, that is not entertainment. Do we wonder why so many people are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder? Why they're having trouble sleeping? Why there's an uneasiness? They're just things that you and I were never meant to know. This podcast is a plea for sanity, a plea for righteousness. It's a plea that we get back to the purity of God's ways. You can be innocent and not naive. I love that idea about the need to know basis. Do you know there are things I choose not to know? I do not need to know them. Don't. I don't need to. Don't need to see it. Don't need to be exposed to it. Don't need to understand the workings of it. It's kind of like, someone once said, you never want to see how the sausage is made. And I love a good sausage. I love kielbasa. I love sausage in its forms. I love a good hot dog. I really do enjoy bratwurst. But I probably don't want to be there when I watch them making it. because I might not enjoy actually eating it. I am thankful for those that have the call of God on their life to enter into the fray. Protect the innocent. The only thing people are guilty of, many of them, are that they were taken advantage of in their mind and what they've been exposed to, or the things that were done to them. There has been such a loss of innocence. We need to hold on to that innocence. We need to hold on to purity. We need to hold on to holiness. I have found that a lot of these things that we're being exposed to leave us anxious, they leave us angry, they leave us feeling helpless and hopeless. That's exactly what they're designed to do. Remember, Satan tempted Adam and Eve. What's God keeping from you? What's he hiding from you? You know what I found is God has made sure that I know everything I need to know. He has exposed me to things that are supposed to be revealed. That's called revelation understanding. But when Satan lies and takes your innocence, that's not a revelation. It's a violation. I'm tired of watching our society violated, whether through entertainment. Oh, I pray for my grandchildren every day. I see the things that my children now understand as adults in their 30s. I don't ever want my grandchildren to have to know those things. I want them to be wise. Jesus said that he was sending us out as sheep among wolves. That we were to be cunning as serpents and as innocent as a dove. There's an innocence. You can be cunning. You can be wise. You cannot be naive, but you can be innocent. Innocence and naivety are not the same thing. Naivety means that they're not a bad thing. Be innocent about what is evil. I'm not naive. I'm not going to be taken advantage of. I understand that evil exists. I also recognize it when I see it. And that means that while I know that it's there, I don't need to dive into the depths of that understanding to have knowledge of it, to know whether I need to know all that there is to know whether it's right or wrong. I just know that it's not good. The loss of innocence. Hope this has been a thought-provoking podcast. I hope it's caused you to think about things. It sure has for me. I pray that it'll give you discernment in the way that you consume the news or your entertainment or even the conversations that you have. There have been things that people have wanted to show me and tell me, and I just tell them, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know. Well, don't you want to be in the know? No, don't need to, don't want to. Don't want to be exposed to that. What do you do if you've been exposed to things? What if you're a first responder, a preacher of that? Know that God's a healer. There are things that I've seen and heard in my life has never been the same since then. But I don't live in the trauma. I don't live in fear because we have the Holy Spirit that heals. Some of the things that I've seen, some of the noises that I've heard, they don't permeate my mind. Were they life-changing events? Yes. Are they something I dwell on? No. I choose not to. I choose to refuse to allow the enemy to take me there or to allow him to bring that kind of continued trauma into my life. I'm determined to make sure that people I know, that my children and grandchildren will not be exposed to these things, that my home will be a place of peace. Listen, I pray that this has been helpful to you. If it has, would you like it? Would you share it? Would you really help this type of a thought get out to many other people? And until we come together again, may the Lord bless you. May He bless your family.